Hey, good morning, everybody. What is it? Wednesday morning. I'm your buddy Chopping On coming at you with another DFS Minute brought to you by DFSArmy.com. One stop shopping, all things daily fantasy sports. Head down to the comments section, click the link, open up the VIP tab, and consider becoming a member. Use coupon code CHOP, CHOP, trigger that 20% off discount that is turning Joes into everyday Joes into DFS pros, whatever the hell rattles off my tongue most of the time. Same stuff, different day. Let's dive in and talk a little bit of NBA, NHL, and then maybe a couple of little tidbits here or there. I want to explain to you guys, first of all, the coaching aspect of things because I don't think people understand what the coaching is. We actually dig in and we show you things that most people don't know. Now, some people do know these things and most people don't. The casual player doesn't know something like this, where we're instituting a new consensus type of tab in the basketball cheat sheets that are going to, even if the coach is not a coach for that day, he's still going to give his core four. And you can run through, much like the multi-opinion pages that we have for golf and NASCAR and some of the others, and get a consensus of the coach's key plays, and then make your decisions based on that. Maybe you trust a guy, he's not working today, and he puts in his plays, and at least you can use those. But most importantly, look for names that repeat on these lists. If every coach thinks that somebody like a Russell Westbrook's going to smash today, well then by all means, Russell Westbrook's probably a really, really, really strong play. The other thing that I would tell you really quickly is there's a little bit of Rondo versus LeBron talk going on, and you need to get the details to that. I can't share those publicly, but man, oh man, the statistics and the this factor, that factor, this factor, that factor, that's the teaching. And the best part about it is Keg also shows you where he went looking for those numbers, and he shows you graphs that you can look up and find the numbers that he's looking at and teach yourself how to find those for other scenarios as well. A lot of the coaching is monkey see, monkey do. Our coaches share with you their process and they show you what it is that they do and how they find what they find. And then by sharing that with you, you just copy the process tomorrow and find the same things they're finding. When I was brand new at learning these sports, I'm not an NBA guy, obviously, but when I was learning NBA, when I wrote NBA a little bit a couple of years ago, when I was paying attention to the sport, uh, it was pretty easy to figure out what coaches would like based on doing the same research they would do. I could do that by 9 a.m., 10 a.m. to go, well, they're going to like this guy and this guy and this guy. And then I just played a game of confirmation the rest of the day and said, okay, they do. I'm on the right process. I'm on the right track. And so that's what we'll do a little bit today. Side tidbit, if you follow me out on Twitter, I'm trying to keep my pinned tweet to be an interesting poker hand. I play, some poker live in casinos, whatever, love the game, and try to put an interesting conversational hand out there once in a while. And I don't have one recently because I just don't have anything interesting. Haven't been to the casino for a while to compile anything worth talking about. So, but that'll change, and we will definitely talk a little bit there too, because there are similarities. Good poker players generally are good DFS players, and vice versa. It's something about the numbers, the analytics, just kind of the nuances of the game. A skill game that has a lot of luck to it, struggles with variance, the mental game. All this stuff really transfers over well if you played one or the other game. And I'm a big time poker fan, of course. But let's dive in to the NBA Research Station. Let's sort by the and one today, and let's go picking apart some of these guys using ceiling value and floor value, like I've been talking the past few days. And we can instantly see that this is a core of floor guys. There's a high ceiling in Malcolm Brogdon. There's a super high ceiling, lower minutes, but a super high ceiling in a Rajon Rondo. I'm automatically going to be interested in those guys. It's only a 4-game slate, so I may keep it down to 2 or 3 guys per slate, but those would be the 2 I'd be the most interested in right off the shoot. If I go to shooting guard, it's usually a little bit more wide open. The and one is not quite as high as the point guard position, but there's a high floor. Holy cow. Victor Oladipo keeps popping, and I really wish the guy would put out a big game for me soon, because he really ticks all of the numbers. 3 and a 7, 1.8, 2.6, and 6. So nothing really exciting, except maybe you can get down here to a pool. Maybe that would be worth a shot in some tournaments. Decent floor, higher ceiling. So maybe it works there for you. But, God, it's going to be hard to not play Victor Oladipo again. If he keeps hitting these numbers, I don't know if that number has too much historical data in it or what. something's going on, and a little bit of digging might uncurl that for you. But for now, I'm just going to keep recommending him because I'm following these numbers here largely. Small forward, 3.0, 3.6, lower ceilings, 3.0, 7.5, similar ceilings. So this is what we're dealing with. You can either take TJ Warren, who's going to be volatile with a very low floor and a higher ceiling, or you can take these guys that live somewhere here in the middle, which would be Harris, Gallinari, and Wiggins. So that's going to be your call. How much risk do you want to take? How much floor do you want? How much ceiling do you want? It could sway you into how much TJ Warren you take. Of course, finding and following the news is always important because if he opens up minutes or some coach sees something in a matchup that those numbers don't see, you're going to want to adjust your lineups later today. Looking at power forward, 3.1, 6.7, 3.9, 7.3. That's intriguing. That's Sabonis. 1.48, well, that's a big discrepancy there. 3.5 and 9.2. Al Horford again popping on the sheet. Maybe that's because Embiid is still injured and he's not going to start today, and the pricing on FanDuel didn't catch up to Horford, and he's going to be the direct beneficiary of that. That would be another one. I would ask a coach, how do I go find the numbers that point to me how Al Horford does when Embiid is not around? And I know that's a stat news thing or whatever, but that would be the number to dig at. That would be the thing that you're looking for. 2.8, 6.6, 1.8, 9.4, 2.9, and 8.5. Not a good matchup because the and one is low, but Draymond Green might be in a pretty good position tonight for tournaments and things. So I might be interested in some Horford, some Draymond. I don't know how much of these other guys. Maybe a Sabonis wouldn't be bad with that high floor. So those would be guys that I'd be keying on. You're going to find these names in the cheat sheets, not because this is all they look at, but because this is a very quick way of putting you on 90% of the plays that they're going to recommend for you. 2.9, 7.0, a little bit low ceiling for me. 2.9, 8.4, would like that better in Mitchell Robinson, 27 minutes. I'd like to see that number be higher. But he's going to be somebody I would probably have some tournament exposure to. And then it's going to be mixing and matching the rest of the way. It's just how it's going to turn out. So that really quickly summarizes the NBA for you. And you can go in and you can go into the domination station, start putting those adores or those 15% boosts on everybody, and then put maybe a 70% global exposure, maybe 75 or 80% tonight being a smaller slate, maybe only 2 unique players because there's going to be a tighter player pool on a smaller slate, and then start controlling your ownership when the projections come out. Up on this guy, down on this guy, up on this guy, down on this guy, rerun. Up on this guy, down on this guy, rerun. Up on this guy, down on this guy, rerun until you get a player pool that you're happy with that is capitalizing on some of the ownership that you spot being too low and is getting maybe away from a little bit of the ownership or at least matching instead of going way overweight on the chalkier plays. Maybe that's how you like to play. I don't know. But that is the fastest way you can do that in 30 minutes. You don't even need to worry about this until 4:30 or 5 o'clock tonight unless you're reserving contests that tend to fill. Whew. Part 2, NHL. What I would do today is I would go into the Skater tab and I would come over to the FanDuel average, sort it by descending order, big slate, lots of options, right? So one of the things that I would do is I'd come back over here to the right. I would start looking for, 5,700 Foley. Thank you. Down here, 50, there's a lot of out-of-place guys. These all should be 7 and 8K guys up here. So I see guys at 5 and 6K. Discount based on the way they've been performing lately. Why would I take Patrick Kane at 7,800 when I can take Mike Hoffman at 6,500? Mike Hoffman is producing a higher score right now than Patrick Kane. If you believe these numbers and believe these trends, and the matchup is still strong in something like implied team total or something, let's take a look. I'm going to scroll this all the way over here to the FanDuel average. Mike Hoffman, 25.8 in his last 5 games. Scroll down to Patty Kane, 22.9. Granted, 3 points isn't a lot, right? 3 points is not a lot, but the difference between 6,500 and 7,800, $1,300 is a lot. It keeps me from having to punt a guy at 3K and hope that he does anything. It gets me up to 4.3K, which finds me a third liner that's probably on a power play somewhere and has a fighting chance. Big difference in that $1,300. So you can do that one way. You can go down and look for out of price guys. 5,500. The 5,700 here in Toffoli's crazy. 5,600 in Pajot is crazy. 5,000 in Duncan Keith is crazy. If Duncan Keith's back on the power play, which he is, and he's producing, that's great. These are guys that would become value plays, guys I would boost projections in the optimizer for, and then I would get them pulling into my lineups as either parts of stacks or one-offs, because generally speaking, hockey is like baseball. Hot streaks tend to continue. They don't last forever, but they tend to continue. And I want it to continue one more day. And if it does, then I'm sitting pretty. I'm finding value people aren't looking for. Another way that you could go through this, easy enough to whittle down some things, looking for parts of stacks, is you can use the stack finder here. And we'll see if this gives us anything to go on. In terms of value, looks like there's some value in here in the last 5 games. Nobody's really raging against the machine. Tampa 1, New York 1. Those are okay down here in the 2 range. There's Tampa 2. I'd take Tampa 2 over Tampa 1. I would take Florida 2. I might even consider a little Montreal 2. These are some value stacks at 13.6, 14.1, and what's that, 13K versus 24, 20, 21, whatever. That's saving you a lot of money, and it's getting you better value, which is getting you a little bit better production, which would then allow you to take shots on a top line, a more expensive line somewhere on the other side of your stack. Maybe you would set the optimizer up with a line 1 stack or a line 2 stack here of, say, Montreal. We don't know if Montreal's in a good spot or not. We'll find that out in a minute. Or Florida. Let's say Florida and Montreal are who we're looking at, and we would say, okay, line 2, and I set my optimizer up to run 50% of line 2 in Florida and 50% of line 2 in Montreal. And then in my second stack, whether it's a 3 stack or a 2 stack, a pair, whatever, I would then run my Tampa 1s, Boston 1s, Winnipeg 1s, Calgary 1s, whatever around that, my more expensive Washington 1 type pivots or type pairs, correlated pairs. And I'm trying to get those expensive guys with some value that's set to do some damage. I get the bulk of my play through my value, and then when the value actually hits that night, then it's a matter of which studs perform. And if the studs perform and the value stack goes off, you're sitting really, really pretty in a lot of tournaments. That's how you can win these tournaments. It isn't difficult. It isn't complex. There isn't a lot of numbers digging that has to happen. We're 12 minutes in, and we've already dissected a couple of value stacks for FanDuel, NHL, and the key plays in the NBA slate. Let's move over really quickly and find some of these good games, wrap it up, put a bow on it, and get out of here. Get you out of here in less than 15 minutes, dissecting 2 sports, record time, with a couple of tips along the way. 2.9, Boston, not in the best spot. Dallas, a little bit defensive. 3.5, Montreal. That's why Montreal 2 is popping. But don't forget New York on the other side. But Montreal 2 is definitely popping for a reason. No line here in Tampa Bay yet, but going up against Chicago with their 3.16 goals against average, I think I would consider some Tampa Bay. St. Louis is not typically an offensive team and just torched them for 6 goals. Granted, they torched St. Louis for 5 goals, and St. Louis is a defensive team. That's the volatility of hockey and why anything can happen. 3.5, 3.5. Hello, shootout warning. That's why Florida 2 is popping. But you could also mix Florida 2, bank on the shootout with some Toronto 1, maybe some Toronto 2 and Tavares and Matthews on a double high center move. Something along those lines would definitely give you a fighting chance tonight. 2.5, 3.6. Vancouver will be popular, I would think, based on the implied team total. Being on the road, I don't know, but facing Ottawa, definitely so. 2.2, 3.3 can largely get out of this game, but don't sleep on Minnesota. They've been scoring some goals lately, and Detroit is terrible. There's a sneaky tournament line for you. Let's see who we might find in this one. Line 1, I've been on Fiala lately. Well, 3 goals, 1 assist in the last 5 games is pretty strong. 6 goals in the last 10. That's why I've been on him. He's still relatively underpriced, although his price is coming up a little bit. Who would I pair him with? I don't really see any kind of correlation on power plays or anything. Might pair him with a Spurgeon, maybe a Dumba, something like that, a defenseman that overlaps it. Might pair him with a Mayhew, would be cheap, 2 goals in his last 5 games. Maybe you get lucky and find something there. But generally speaking, him or who's the other one? Where'd old shoot? Don't see him. Koivu's down on the 4th line. That's crazy. Koivu had a good game a couple of games ago. Anyway, moving on so we don't take too much time. That game, not too interested in either one. With all of the choices out there tonight, same here. These games could blow up on you, but the odds are that 7 over-under is going to blow up first, or some of those higher implied team totals are going to blow up first. Winnipeg can choke with the best of them. Washington could put some goals on them in a heartbeat. So maybe you're turning your attention there. I would probably avoid this game outside of one-offs. It's just not where my stacks would come from. So generally speaking, that's the idea. You're just going through, sifting through for the higher ITTs, looking for the production in those offenses, using the skaters tab to find the value plays, the out of price guys that are producing compared to everybody else producing the same level of points, using a stack finder maybe to find some value stacks, and understanding that you're going to typically build, if you remember the bottom up stuff, you're going to get the start with the value stuff in your lineup first and then add in your higher priced pieces so that you're not at the end of your lineup looking for that last player and you've only got $3,200 left. That forces you to choose crap. You don't want to choose crap. You'd rather start with the value first, then start building up to where at the end of your build, you're going, I've got $7,000 left over. Do I want this stud or that stud? It makes it a lot more fun to build lineups that way. If you want more information on that, you got to come inside and ask me questions inside our Slack channels as a VIP. So again, comment section, like, subscribe, notification bell, coupon code CHOP, CHOP. If you're really, really interested, we have free offers out there. You can try us for 30 days. SuperDraft, Monkey Knife Fight, FanDuel, Thrive Fantasy. If you're interested in any of those, click those links, see what they are about, and get in here for 30 days. Get all of the coaching, all of the tools. NASCAR's coming. PGA just kicked off. We've got showdown rounds coming. NBA's been on fire lately. MMA, if I haven't mentioned that, is very consistent with 3 of the top ranked players in the world coaching the sport. If you want to learn how to take advantage of MMA because you love MMA, because you love watching, UFC on Friday, Saturday nights, whatever. Definitely something to consider. We don't charge by the sport. One price, all inclusive, unlocks everything. Get in here and start building your bankroll and start becoming a better player. I know you can do it. You just have to make up your mind to get in here and do it. See you on the inside. We'll talk to you soon.